welcome to another episode of The Deep Dive. This is a bonus episode, first of this kind. My name is Brad, joined by our creative director, worship leader, Caleb Carlson.
Yes.
We're going to talk a little bit about some worship and some music and its place in the life of a church, its place even kind of with, how people understand faith and theology. And we're going to start with a song that is a little bit abstract.
Yeah.
In a couple spaces. First off, I'm going to get off of my cord. There
you go.
And my kids are actually in the room too, so they're off. They're watching a show. So
What's up, kids?
Yeah, you might hear from them a little bit. But anyway, in these bonus episodes, what we're going to be doing is, just doing that. We're going to be looking at the music that we sing. Or to say it a little bit differently, the theology that we sing.
Yes.
Because, I don't know, for a lot of reasons, and probably for a long time, not just, it's not like it's just a, 21st century thing. The church sings its theology, the way we're primarily shaped. There's a reason that for education, for kids, we put stuff to music. It helps us remember. It helps us be shaped by. And that's, even as adults, that's not any different for us. So, Caleb, before we really dive in, would love to your background. How long have you been at Calvary? How did you get to where you currently are?
Yeah. So, I started coming around Calvary when I was 16 years old. And it was my sophomore year of high school. Was leading worship back in the warehouse on Sunday mornings twice a month.
Shout out.
Yeah. That's back in your era.
My era.
And B. Bennett, another shout out there. But was volunteering with Bo and Aaron and those guys, and just really getting involved here at Calvary. Went away to college, went to Greenville College at the time, now Greenville University.
Did they change your diploma for you?
They did not. But I was the last graduating class of Greenville College.
Hey, that's worth something.
It's got to be. All my merch, my Greenville merch, says college, so it can be vintage someday.
Vintage, yes.
But I started here literally 2 days after graduation, and been here ever since. That's been 5.5 years, 5 years and a couple months.
In some ways, that feels short, and in other ways, it feels long.
It's that time frame where it has both of those effects. So, man, that's how I got here. Married my wife right after I started here. I graduated on a Sunday. I started here on a Tuesday. I led worship here that weekend, and the next weekend I got married. So it was 2 weeks of just chaos.
That was a busy month.
But it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, man, that's where I come from. That's how I got here.
Yeah, and you've been, I assume, musical your whole life. Music has been a shaping part of your story.
Both my parents were on the praise team growing up, and I was the youngest of three, and there was a decent age range between me and my middle brother. And so I was definitely I went everywhere with my parents. They didn't necessarily get babysitters a ton. I was a pretty well behaved kid, so honestly, your kiddos, just being able to sit here, that's how I was. And so I was at every worship team rehearsal. My dad would sing and play bass. My mom would sing. And so I sang my first solo in church when I was 3. My dad held me in front of the podium where there was a podium mic.
Yeah.
And I sang, "I Love You, Lord." And I think I've actually told this story in church before. Do you know this one?
Yeah.
So the lyrics are, "Take joy, my King, in what you hear, may be a sweet sound." And as a kid, 3 years old, I would sing, "Take joy, I'm King." And it just totally it was one of those cute kid things that you're I'm not correcting that because that's cute.
Yeah.
But then my parents like thought it'd be good to correct that before I sang it in front of 300 people.
Yeah, at some point you need to not be telling everybody that you're a king.
Yeah, it's pretty heretical. So, so that's truly the genesis of where we're at today. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I know, Caleb, in just having different conversations with you, like the way music instructs the people of God is like a small passion for you.
Yeah.
maybe not too small, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty significant.
The number of times that you kind of talk about, is it Colossians, the Psalms, hymns, spiritual songs?
Yeah,
like,
it's in
you
Ephesians too.
Unpack that a little bit.
That's the only place in the New Testament where worship through song is mentioned. The only place. And so, and both times, both in Ephesians and Colossians, it uses that same songs, hymns, and spirituals. And there's a ton of different theological breakdowns of that and things that I studied in college. I should probably mention, when I was at Greenville, there was a worship arts track. Like, that's what my, like, bachelor's degree is in. I also have a sociology degree, but that was kind of tagged on. But, like, in our study, like, this is something we looked at, and you know, there's different things, like there's almost like trees that they associate it with. So like there's like redwood trees, there's fruit trees, and then there's trees like growing out of cliffs. That's like psalms, hymns, and spirituals. Like psalms are like seasonal. Hymns are like very like rooted and like theological, and spirituals are just like sporadic. So does that make sense? Where there's the fruit tree that's seasonal, there's the redwood that's like deeply rooted, and then there's the tree like sprouting from a cliff that's just sporadic. Then there's some that's like in a similar, that's just kind of a word picture for it, but then in a similar way, like they would explain it as hymns aren't just the songs in that book at your grandma's church. Hymns are something that are just deeply theological of the gospel and just the flow of the gospel, you know, from creation to eschaton, like, and the fact that Jesus saves, you know. But then a psalm would be more like a seasonal like response to that, you know, like some folks would maybe coin as like a praise song, you know, or a chorus or whatever. And then some people consider spirituals like spontaneous songs, and that doesn't, you know, obviously that's a whole thing we could dive into. That's probably another different bonus episode, you know? But yeah, so that's important to me, to have diversity in the type of song we're singing, because when we see worship through song talked about in the New Testament, it's clearly diverse. I mean, it's both times, and so, and because it's said the same way both times, it's like it's got to be significant.
It seems like there's a formula there, or maybe not formula, but at least an understood, like there's understood meaning that Paul shares with his audience, to where they understand even maybe the breakdown.
For sure.
You know, he doesn't just say, "Hey, when you sing songs or when you sing worship songs," like there's a level of specificity.
Right. Yeah, he may have unpacked that for them.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully. Anyway, that's great. I do think that when I was in seminary, I had a class on Psalms specifically, and the foundational question that the professor would ask us, or we would ask him, like for every psalm that we would be, you know, translating and interpreting, what shaping effect would singing this in a corporate setting have on the people of God?
Sure.
And I think that's a question that I want us to keep at the forefront of these conversations as we, just so you know, as you're listening, our goal here is to highlight different songs that we sing. Shout out to my kids, if you heard the cough there. As we highlight different songs that we sing on a semi-regular basis, what we want to do is we want to talk through the theology. What is this song communicating about God? What can I learn about myself and what it means to respond to a particular attribute or truth or situation?
And can we say the reason this is important?
Go for it.
Can we talk about that real quick before we get into this?
Go for it.
So there's this Latin phrase, lex orandi, lex credendi. Have you heard this?
No.
Yeah. Lex orandi, lex credendi.
I love language though, so that's...
Yeah. And then there's an extension of it, lex vivendi. And what that stands for is like the law of what is prayed, law of what is believed, and the law of what is lived. And so what this means is you sing your theology, and belief and prayer are integral to each other. It's like what we do isn't distinct and separate from our theology, but it's all the same. So even like the mediums that we use say something about what we're saying. Like I think the perfect
That's really
example
good.
of this is like bar church.
Yeah.
That's the best. I mean, like that's the best like modern example of this. The medium is the message. You're saying something by saying we're gathering in a bar for church.
Gotcha.
Nobody's wondering what the vision and mission of that church is.
Yeah.
And if they are, like, we need to help them with just
Yeah.
like, you know, breaking down.
Yeah. You don't need to have it written anywhere. Come as you are.
Right.
For a church that meets.
That's probably
in a
their
bar.
motto, right?
Yeah.
That's probably their vision.
Yeah.
And so like that, like that's kind of a rabbit trail of what I'm saying, but like I think it's all connected. Like what we do matters, how we do it matters, because it's not distinct from our theology.
That's really good. I have a friend that I was an undergrad with, and he actually just wrote a book. It was released. It's called Fruitful Theology, and his premise is that the practice of reading, understanding, learning, studying theology should produce joy in the person, and if it's not, then it's probably not. You probably haven't had a true experience with theology. And
Sure.
I think maybe in a similar context, like the songs that we sing, the lyrics and the words matter because meaning matters.
Yes.
The attitude and the heart of the person who is singing it matters. The space in which the song is being sung matters. Like all of that, and none of that can be fully separated from any of the others.
It cannot be.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry I derailed that
No,
a
that's
little
great.
bit. You were
That's
getting
great.
into that we're going to be unpacking different songs.
Yeah, so kind of the goal in this is to unpack different songs that we sing on a somewhat maybe a regular basis, specifically, but even songs that we maybe don't sing super regularly, but they have an obscure line,
Sure.
or maybe it's a song that's like all over the radio and you're hearing it and we're like, hey, this is a good song. We're not going to sing it in a corporate setting, but maybe we
Sure.
want to talk about it a little bit because the practice of talking about it is a good.
Yes.
It's good. So the song for this, you ready to go there?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so the song we're going with for this one, we've got, I don't know, about 15 minutes, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll go 5 minutes, maybe we'll go 15.
Yeah.
We'll see. The song we're going to highlight first is Honey in the Rock.
Yes.
Man, I'm loving this song.
Brooke Ligertwood. I don't know how you say that. Her name used to be Fraser, Brooke Fraser. Then she got married. It was way easier before.
Yeah. She just shouldn't have got married.
But she's like she writes a lot of stuff that churches sing.
Okay.
Like she's written a lot of things.
Which is always an interesting experience for me when the song is done at church and you have like the CCLI, the copyright information that pops up there.
Yeah.
And like you see names and sometimes like it doesn't mean anything unless you know, okay, this person is associated with this church or this band or whatever.
Yes.
Anyway, that's always a fascinating little like spot. Do you ever get asked about that?
Some people ask me like, no, short answer, no. But I get asked when like sometimes something happens and it doesn't end up going up. And somebody's like, hey, the credits like didn't run for that. And I was wondering what the song was. And it's like, oh, people.
Yeah, well, let's take just a really quick detour. Like, why do we put that up there at the end of the song?
Have to. So we have to report as a church. We pay for a license. It's a yearly thing. It's almost like a subscription license. To have the rights to use songs that are not just public domain. And we have to report like to CCLI, Christian Christian copywriting. I forget what it stands for. Licensing, Christian, contemporary Christian music.
Contemporary Christian Licensing.
Something like that.
Institute.
It doesn't matter. Yeah. We do the reporting, so we don't have to know the...
Yeah, we do the thing.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway, so that way the writers, I mean, it's their livelihood. It's their ministry, but it's their livelihood. I mean, it's just like you and I serve in a local church.
Well, it's when Paul speaks, a couple different places in the New Testament talks about, ministers, being paid for the work that they do.
Yeah.
And while he didn't always accept it, like he's basically saying, hey, listen, pay the people that are doing the work.
Let's take care of them.
Because like they're doing it, to the Lord. Let's take care of them.
For sure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, those go up there because we're required to do that legally under the licensing that we have. And then we report that so that they can receive, their payment for having written these songs. And so, that's
Cool.
that's what that's for. But so Honey in the Rock.
Honey in the Rock.
So it's a fairly new song. It's about, it's like 8-9 months old. It's not.
It's not. It's not old.
Yeah. And it's just the one line, really.
Yeah. So before we get to the line,
Yeah.
which is also the title of the song, I think that what I enjoy most about this song, or at least the way that we play it here, I assume that the way we play it here is
it's like the record,
like the original recording. It has I don't even know, you're the music guy, so maybe you can put words in my mouth for this, but there's a vibe to it that is just different than other songs that I feel like we often sing.
Yeah, for sure. It has a very rootsy, potentially country vibe.
Yeah,
to
there's
it.
like not really a twang, but there's something there that makes me want to move a little bit.
It's the syncopation of the chord progression.
So when you say syncopation,
so the rhythm in some way, it's not just like straightforward 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like 1, 2, and 3. It like has all these like upbeats and stuff. So it has that like nice rhythmic flair to it. That's different than just like something straightforward. It also has like coming out of the bridge. It's like, I have all that I need. You are all that I need. Yeah. Right there.
We'll let you do that.
It
I
does.
will not do that.
Yeah. Right there, it plays like a chord. It's like a flat set for all you musicians. It plays a flat 7 there, and that's not like usually within the like realm of options for chords in just like a straightforward CCM song. And so it just gives it this nice like, and that is a very like rootsy country type thing, Americana type, and so like that's why it has that feel. It's kind of a bluesy thing too. So, but it just depends on the application of it. It has a B3 organ that's really prominent, which is why it probably has some of that like country,
that tone quality to it.
Yeah. So
I like it. It's very pleasing to listen to.
Well, and one of my points, like one note I had written down was like, we can't pass that up.
Yeah.
Like we can't pass up that it's catchy.
Yeah.
That's not bad. That's actually really good. If you think about like, let's say there's somebody walking in here that like is hearing this song and they're like, this isn't just the typical straightforward CCM song that I'm used to hearing in churches. Like, then you just like, you all of a sudden have like gotten someone to realize like they get sucked into the just musicality of the song. Yeah. And then all of a sudden they're sucked into the reality that there's a larger narrative and it has to do with provision for you and for me.
And I think there's something to be said too about our, this is going in a direction I wasn't going to even think to take it, but like the whole act of like creation and like the fact that we get to participate in that is powerful. And like the fact that there is music that is of like worship music, I think should be of good quality.
Totally.
So.
Absolutely. Yep. It's after the heart of the creator.
Yeah. That's great. Okay. So Honey in the Rock, it comes from, there's only like 2 explicit and
it's
one
abstract.
And one quotes the other. Like, so it's really just one. This song, like as a whole, speaks to the way God provides for his people.
Yes.
And so I want to read from Psalm 81 and then Deuteronomy 32. So the Psalm 81, I believe, is quoting Deuteronomy 32. Psalm 81, but he would feed you with the finest of the wheat, and with honey from the rock I would satisfy you. So that's part of this is kind of the cool connection, is the Psalms were the hymn book of Israel. It was
Sure.
the hymn book of the people of God. They would sing these songs in corporate worship settings.
Yes.
They would sing these songs in different settings. Sometimes they were going up to the temple, and they would, as they were going up the mountain, they'd be singing these songs. They were, there's a specific context for it. I'm sure they would sing these songs while they were out in the field working.
Yes.
And they would teach these songs to their kids. But Deuteronomy 32 which is the song of Moses.
Yeah.
And the line specifically, he made him ride on the high places of the land, and he ate the produce of the field, and he suckled him with the honey out of the rock and oil out of the flinty rock. So it's a very specific thing that's not even documented, like the original event isn't documented in Scripture. The remembering of the event in song form is.
So that's where our like interpretation of Scripture and our understanding of setting and context and I think literally geography and like what's the like study of plants, like come on.
I mean, in Harry Potter, it's herbology.
So like,
sounds good though too.
So check this out. So and I heard this from a friend of mine, but like in the Middle East, there's not much foliage. It's pretty desolate. And so bees are not very prominent because they don't have anything to pollinate. And so they actually create their hives in the crevices of rock.
Wow.
And so when like, let's say the Israelites are traveling in the wilderness or just traveling in general, they're not looking for plants to find honey or to find sustenance. There's not any. They're looking in the crevices of rock to try to find sustenance. They're looking in the least expected place. And what's crazy is, like you were saying, back to original creation, it was created that way.
Yeah.
So that someday they might find sustenance in the least expected place. Really powerful.
That's really good. And if that's not enough, right, the next line, water in the stone.
Right.
Which, if you've familiar with the story of the Israelites wandering in the wilderness, like literally God provides water for them out of the rock, out of the stone, and then manna on the ground.
Yeah.
So again, the Israelites wandering in the wilderness, there's manna that God sends every morning,
which is a bird.
The manna is like a bread, and then there's the quail that that they would get their meat. But again, like all three of these things, these images, like God's provision for His people, even when they're wandering, even when they're far from home, when they don't have their normal like farming, their farms, or even a space where they're familiar with the livestock, where they're able to hunt. Like God is still providing for them, right? No matter where they go, which is just a powerful thing. And then for us, then, like the shaping effect, like, we're taking these Old Testament stories that aren't even specifically referenced in the song. What shaping effect then does this have, or should this have, on the people singing it?
Well, I mean, man, we could take a lot of angles on that. I do think of the bridge where it says, I have all that I need. You are all that I need. It says it way better than that, though, because it's a really nice melody there.
Well, and for that, I keep looking, I keep finding. You keep giving, keep providing.
I have all that I need. I keep praying, right?
I keep praying, you
keep moving. I keep praising, you keep proving. I have all that I need. You are all that I need.
Yeah.
It really brings out this, elementary but foundational thing that we have to remember is this need versus want. And like, that's a life lesson thing, right?
Yeah.
But this in our faith is not, like, it's almost even more elementary because Jesus is all that we need. It's not like at home where you're like, no, you need water, you want juice. It's like, I mean, but it is similar to that. But this boils down to, in your faith, down to one thing. You need Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think in the space, in the corporate space where, you know, I might be struggling with something. My faith might be at an all-time low, or I'm just here because I'm here, but I'm not really here because my mind is elsewhere. And then Caleb, you might be in an entirely different space where the place that you're singing from, like, Jesus is all that you need, and you know it and you feel it, and like the confidence in which you sing it has, like, I'm standing next to you, I can hear it, like,
for sure,
that has an inspiring impact.
It's edifying.
On me.
That's what Colossians and Ephesians is saying. Teaching and admonishing one another. I think some translations use the word edifying.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah.
So, and like, here's the other part about this need versus want thing. The Lord knows what we need. We need him. We also need physical sustenance. But he helps us see the boundaries of everything else in the realm of wants versus need. But our vision of that's going to be blurry until we're just fully satisfied in him. That's when you gain clarity then on the rest of need.
Yeah.
Verse 1.
That's really good.
And there's that Piper quote, most glorified in us when we're most satisfied in him.
Most satisfied in him. Yeah.
And so, like, I think there's something in there too for this. But that's, I mean, I just love how this chorus, like the bridge just kind of brings us back home.
Yep.
Where we're in the chorus, we're saying there's honey in the rock, like sustenance where it's least expected, water in the stone, same thing, manna on the ground, same thing. No matter where I go, like you were saying, even as they're traveling, I don't need to worry now that I know everything I need, you've got. There's honey in the rock. And then later on, like I was saying, it says those things. I keep praying, you keep moving. I keep praising, you keep proving. I have all that I need. You are all that I need. Yeah. Just brings it to that landing point. So,
yeah. And I think too, again, like it's quoting these songs of the Old Testament people of God. And so many of the Psalms do this where they're reminding themselves of their history. They're reminding themselves of when God provided in different spaces, so that in whatever situation they're in now, it's like, hey, remember, regardless of where you went, God provided in that space in a way that was unexpected. Oh, he's going to do that here too.
Yes.
So that's great. Caleb, thank you so much. This is a great conversation. Love just unpacking these. Looking forward to having more of these on the horizon. Church, thank you so much just for listening, for tuning in. If you have a song that you'd love to hear unpacked a little bit, shoot us an email, podcast@calvary.church, or if you are watching this on YouTube, throw it in the chat, in the comments section. If you're listening, I invite you to subscribe so that whenever we do have more bonus episodes like this in the future, you don't miss them out. But all of that, go in grace and peace. Thank you, church, for being a church that is singing along with us the praises and the glory of God.
Thanks for listening to The Deep Dive, a Calvary Church Media Productions podcast. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review wherever you listen to podcasts.